Okay, so all mammals lactate. In fact, it has to be one of the requirements to be a mammal, right? Mammals are animals that are warm-blooded. We have hair, some of you more than me, and mammals lactate their young. So we see the polar bear and the baby cubs here. I'm not sure if she's happy or distressed as a lactating mother, but all mammals lactate. So lactation is the production of milk by the mammary gland, and this is something that all mammals share, a common trait. So we know that different type of animals can vary in different lengths. So baby pigs, for instance, we can wean baby pigs off the sow at about 14 days of age, and they can survive then, after that, solely on solid feed. Other species, elephants, for instance, nurse their young quite a while. I've seen humans, human babies, sometimes mothers choose to nurse and lactate and feed those babies for a couple of years. And so it can vary based upon the type of animal and, of course, amongst species. But one thing that is true amongst all of them is that those mammary glands provide two purposes. And as we've already talked, that first is to provide nutrition. They're providing milk to the newborn young and for those young as they begin to grow and develop. The second, and this is often overlooked, is a source of immunity to those offspring. And that's that colostrum, which is the mother's first milk that is provided to those babies. And so usually, for instance, in the cattle and the sheep at my house, we want to make sure that those calves or lambs get to suck immediately, within a matter of hours of being born. And that colostrum is going to provide the immune system to that baby. So those baby lambs and calves, or all babies, are born without an immune system. And that immune transfer occurs from the mother to the young through that colostrum. So it's extremely important that those babies get that colostrum directly after birth. Okay? Now, in addition to cows, we can utilize milk from other species. And so one water buffalo, I toured a water buffalo dairy this summer that was in Ireland. And they were using the milk from these water buffalo to make mozzarella and other fancy cheeses. And the cheese was actually very, very good. We got to taste some. So depending upon where you're at in the world, you might use yak milk, or up north in northern Alaska and Canada and northern Russia, they use reindeer. Down in the desert Arab region of the world, they might use camels, donkeys, sow milk, okay? And so depending upon the culture and the purpose, they could use a variety of different milks. Now, I've had sheep milk before. It was more of an accident than it was something on purpose. But milk can come from a variety of species. Now, the mammary glands vary a little bit. Okay, the mammary gland is an exocrine system. It's a part of that exocrine system. And so cows, we know, have 4 glands and 4 teats. So a cow udder is broken up into quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of those quadrants has a teat. Okay, sheep and goat have halves. So we have 2 halves, and they only have 2 teats. So 2 halves, each half gets a teat. A mare is going to have 4 glands, okay, 4 glands, but are only going to have 2 teats. Now, a sow, we look at the underline on a sow, and of course they have litters of babies, and so they're going to have multiple glands and multiple teats to go for all of those litters. Now, we're going to look at a structure of an udder here on 19.2, but the one important part I want you guys to remember is the alveoli. And there's lots of these alveoli up in the udder, and they look like a wad of grapes. But millions of those are found within each gland, and little bitty microscopic droplets of milk form within each one of those alveoli. And then they all drip down together into a cistern, or gland cistern, which is the base or the bottom of that udder, and that's where it then flows into each teat. So if we look at this, here is that teat right here that you can see. Here is the gland cistern, and here is the teat cistern. So if you go to ever milk a cow, that's what you're squeezing, is that milk that is stored right here in the teat. But up here, it looks like this network of webs almost. If we magnify it right here, here's what each one of those looks like. And they got these little bitty grape-like structures. If we take one of those and we magnify it over here, we're getting down to the cellular level now. But this is where milk is secreted. And of course, there's a large supply of blood to each one of these alveoli to carry nutrients, to carry water, and then that milk is produced right here in response to certain hormonal production of the cow. And we'll talk more about that here.